So we're back here at South by Southwest, and we're with Zamp. Guys, tell us, first of all, introduce yourselves and tell us about your company.
All right, well, my name is Nafis and Zebarjadi. Zamp is my co-founder, Sam. Zamp is a social travel service that helps travelers in that time when they're sitting at the airport. Everybody hates being at the airport, sitting, you have nothing to do, sometimes you're alone. And so what we're trying to do is basically connect you with other people that may have similar interests, help you discover others around you, and specifically look at the things that you're interested in doing. For example, sometimes you just want to relax. We can help connect you with those people. Sometimes you want to actually get together with a group and watch a game on TV. At the airport, we can do that. Sometimes people like to share rides when they land at their destination. So that's what we're really trying to do, is bring people together and make travel a little more interesting, a little more fun.
Yeah, and I'm Sam Zebarjadi. So this whole concept of the started with us being road warriors, right? So spending a lot of time at airports. There's always that moment when you get there and you kind of see the guy walk into the lounge and you see him kind of plop down in the comfortable chair and the doors close. It's like the gates that nobody can get into, right? So we wanted to kind of build a service that lets people interact, find ways to kind of interact with others, have them invite you into the lounge to share a coffee, talk about business, or if you just want some quiet time to sit in the back. We can kind of show you who's at the airport. You can kind of discover who all's around you. We can show you who's on your flight and get more information about what their interests are and kind of help you connect. So we wanted to really focus on making travel more social as it happens, as opposed to a lot of other products and services that are out there that help you before and after. We wanted to kind of focus on the now and real time.
So how did you come up with that idea? Did you know this was a need?
Well, it was primarily, again, it started out of kind of our own need from traveling. But we actually validated that by looking at a number of different travel sites and forums online. There are a few communities that are pretty well known among kind of frequent travelers, but the interesting thing we found is that there are a lot of people that are just casual travelers that also go on those sites, newbies and others, to kind of learn from the experts. And a lot of the conversation was around how can we connect, where can we meet up. Some of these sites actually have calendars where people put in their itineraries just to see who else is going to be around. And these are complete strangers, they don't know each other, all they know is that there's another guy or gal who's going to be at the airport at the same time as me. So we recognized very quickly that there's at least some kind of community for that. And as we've been evangelizing and talking about it, more and more people are excited about it. I would say South by has been a really great opportunity to get even more feedback about how exactly that interaction works, how can we balance things like privacy, but at the same time make it social. So, it seems to be a lot of momentum around this idea.
So how do you balance privacy with the social component?
Well, basically right now the way it works is everything's opt-in. We don't do anything until you tell us what flight you're going to be on and that you're at the airport and you want it publicized. But going forward, I think obviously there will be more social integration, ties to Facebook and Twitter, even other services like TripIt that have kind of a travel-based social network. So what we're looking at is kind of making sure that users have the opportunity to share with us exactly how much they want and nothing more. But at the same time, making them aware that you do get a lot out of telling us just a little bit of information about yourself. That just that tiny bit of disclosure actually opens up a whole new world of social interaction and really intimate scenarios that can happen.
So I think that you guys could even find a client in a Virgin America or something like that. Is that something that you've been looking into as a revenue source?
Yeah, we've actually been talking with some airlines for potential partnerships. We know that a lot of them are trying to break through and extend their social media presence and really their social networking presence to help their passengers and customers interact. I think that brings a lot of value for them. So those are things that we're starting to look at and trying to discover how our ecosystem can tie into their platforms and with their customers. And also we're partnering with a couple of online travel communities as well to really leverage them and the passengers and flyers who are there to make a more meaningful interaction for them.
And so when did you start this company and what are your plans? So when did you start?
So we started back in November. This was just kind of a casual thing on the side that we started doing. We put out a version really quickly after a couple of weeks, just to kind of feel out the market and kind of see what people say. And that actually opened up a lot of doors.
You guys want developers?
So we're both developers. We're both engineers. We come from a technical background. Sam has a lot of experience in the mobile space. It definitely helps. So we were able to get something out real quick. But again, it was just kind of something on the side that we did. So right now what we're looking at, we basically launched this weekend and kind of a more formal launch. What we're looking at is kind of to ramp up and really engage a community of people that can sort of evangelize the product, be kind of our champions at the initial release, and help them sort of drive us as we look at features and other things that we can do moving forward. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's really about seeing where there's a viable market and having that drive what we do and the innovation that comes after that.
Is this your first startup?
Somewhat. We've done a few things here and there and kind of started up some projects. But this is really the first one that we've seen a lot of traction on from customers, and we've really gotten great reception and feedback on. And I think really the key of that has been the fact that we kind of started small with a smaller vision with a niche group of users, and that's really helped kind of create this community and this interest around it versus maybe rookie mistakes when you're starting to start. You have all these grandiose ideas and you want to do something to change the world, but you have to take those baby steps. So we've learned a lot along the way, and we've talked to a lot of great advisors and investors who've just had so much experience out in the field, and that's really helped along the way. And I think the amazing thing about South by and other conferences and shows and these things is really just around interaction, talking to other people who've been there and done that, people who you can learn from, and really utilizing other people's experience so that you can optimize your own process.
Excellent. And so, where can we find Zamp?
So Zamp is in the App Store. You can go right now to the Apple App Store. So it's available on iOS today. We're working on an Android version to come out soon, so we'll have some announcements about that hopefully soon. And you can also find us on the web at zamp.co. So we'd love to kind of get feedback from the community. Anybody who'd like to sign up, tell us what they'd like to see, things that they don't like. We're open to that kind of criticism too. Hopefully we'll have some more exciting things coming soon.
And on Twitter at Zampco, Zampco, Z-A-M-P-C-O.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you guys, even getting on the App Store, is pretty hard, isn't it?
It's a challenge, I think, because it's kind of an opaque process and you don't really know what's going to happen. But I would say that you have to kind of tip your hat off to Apple for doing their best to try to make it frictionless for developers. I mean, obviously having an ecosystem where developers are supported and encouraged is really in their best interest too, both from a revenue model but also kind of from a larger kind of user adoption. So, as challenging as it has been, I think that they're doing their best to kind of make it quick and seamless. But like I say, as a developer, you're always anxious. You say, well, am I going to get it in time? Am I going to make it? Is our launch going to be delayed? All of those things. So, it's a little nerve-wracking, but definitely, we managed to get in there. So here we are. We're great.
So I have one more geek question because I'm in love with APIs. And our own launch with Startup Live, we used a great API. We worked closely with a developer. And so, are you guys working with APIs, or are you planning on doing something from scratch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we actually, so a couple things. We actually consume some APIs that mainly help us with providing flight-based information. So every time you fly, the information about that flight is provided to federal databases and other things. So we basically use that when you give us a flight number to look some of that up. Going down the road, there'll be others that we'll integrate it with as well. TripIt, for example, is one that we're looking at right now. And then in terms of our own service, we've actually had a lot of people ask us about, is this something where you have to have the app, or could we tie into it and have a third-party model, or websites or other things that could tie in? So we're exploring the option of having APIs for our own APIs down the road, but obviously we'll have to balance that with kind of what the user value is and how that grows.
I feel like you guys are more on the end of looking for APIs that would integrate with your platform.
Absolutely.
And yesterday, we met somebody at the Rocket Space Party at Wit.ly. Have you guys heard of them? I'm wearing their little button right there. They're a great personal platform. And I think if I would like to know who's compatible with me while I'm sitting around waiting for a flight. Well, in business sense, things like that. My boyfriend would get really mad if I meant that in any more than a business sense. But I thought that was a really cool idea, and I was like, I wonder what you can apply this to, and it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But maybe I shouldn't talk too much about it because of your business.
No, we did a Startup Mixer event yesterday, and one of the judges came by and he's like, so this is like flight dating? We were like, no. Take that concept. It's not about hooking up in that sense at all. It's very professional.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you so much, guys, for sitting down and having this casual conversation and stairwell behind the scenes of South by. And we'll be back with more interviews with great startups and just Startup Watch on Startup Live.
Thank you.